Good morning. Hi, yeah.
Hi, Lucy. So nice to see you this morning.
Yeah, you too. Um, I'm really pleased that you've invited me to talk to you this morning as part of the Infinite Being Academy podcasts. My name's Lucy, for everyone who doesn't recognise me. And I've been studying at the Infinite Being Academy for some time. I think we met probably maybe 15 years ago, was it, Yair, when I came on a retreat
Yeah,
in Andalusia, and we've been in contact ever since. So I'm really pleased to be here this morning talking to you. How's your morning been?
it was beautiful. It was beautiful. And what makes the morning so beautiful is always the meditation. It's unbelievable. And as what I realized this morning that made it so powerful, I mean, the realization made it powerful, but as a result, something happened in the system. And that was a deep, deep feeling that actually I don't let go enough, that I should let go more. They always say, let go and let God. And that's exactly it. You know, that there was a, that I realized that as I meditate, and not God meditates through me, you know. So this I realized this morning, um, because I saw that, what does it mean? I mean, I do let go, but I all the time observe, like I'm staying there observing, I am observing, and it shouldn't be like this. It should be a complete renunciation, complete, 100%, which is was not straightforward for me, you know, to renounce so deeply, like to completely let go and not not being afraid of the consequences. That what will happen if I let go completely. That I don't even want to know what's happening. I don't want to know anything. I'm just letting go. I don't want to even pay attention to what's happening. I'm just letting go. If I pay attention, I pay attention. If not, but is a something very, very complete happened there. Not complete to the level that I feel it could be, because I know it's possible to renounce even more. But even that uh, deepening of renunciation feels so amazing. Oh, I feel so blissed and blessed, you know. So I know that something deeply touched, and I'm so grateful for that.
Wow.
Because I hear, you know, when Sadhguru, for example, talks about, you know, his experience on the, I think, Samudi Hill or something like this, he lost himself for hours and hours, and he didn't feel anything. I mean, 8 hours, I don't know, and people get into samadhi for days and days. And in books, yogic books, they talk about eons that people are in meditation, you know. So when you really renounce, that's it. You are, you know, they say that they need to whisper like the breath of God, of life, into the psyche to bring them back into human consciousness or something like this. You know, it's so deep, so powerful. So more renouncing. But even the little bit that I kind of touched is so powerful. And just that already is so full of bliss. So imagine.
Amazing.
Imagine only licking the nectar on the edge of it, you know, it's still not being inside it and dissolving and disappearing. But it's the direction. It's very good, very good. Highly
Oh,
recommend.
I recommend. Yeah, it sounds really good. Yeah, and what part of you um can you give us an idea of what part of you is renouncing? You know, the taste of that difference or that
It
changing
feel like
gear.
death, you know. It feel. I mean, the closest I can say is death. You know, is that you die completely. You die. You like you go when you go to sleep. In a way, you die. You know, you let go. You don't half go to sleep. You know, if you half go to sleep, you feel horrible. So there is some renunciation that is so deep that it's like you die or you're going to sleep. I mean, why we are afraid from death, you know, is because we don't know we're going to wake up, you know, but we don't afraid of sleep. We're going to sleep. We're happy to sleep. We must sleep. We don't want anyone to disturb us. Even if we sleep with the most beautiful person, the most loved person, we must let go of them also. And we don't want them to bother us when we sleep. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want even the mind to bother us when we sleep. That's why people take sleep medication, because they cannot sleep, because the mind bothers them even when they sleep. So it's something like this. It's such a deep renunciation that you cannot say which part. It has to be whole, whole. And when you renounce, when you are awake, so they talk about in the yoga teaching that you have to sleep when you are awake and to be awake when you sleep, meaning that that renounce part is constant, is not sleeping ever. Yeah, that's a place to.
Mm.
That's called enlightenment, you know, because you are light and you are the light and you are in the light and you are the light. That's called love. So that's wow. Yeah, but that's what we're doing here. No? I want to share with you that you know, as we're moving house now,
Mm.
so we start to clear things, you know, to look through things. So it's very emotional, I must say, because yesterday I was looking through my notes, and yesterday we talked about a little bit about, in a way, the process that I went through to where I'm today. And I told you that it was a process of coming from the physical to the non-physical. And I was going through huge amount of notes that I took for when I study stems and branches, which is a line or a branch of acupuncture, of Chinese medicine that's very, very old. And I was very much into it, but not enough that I will still do it today. Something took me to another place. Yeah. But it was very emotional to, in a way, to throw all these papers, to recycle it, you know, and to feel, God, you know, I spent years studying, and I spent years and so much time and so much money, you know, with the hope that I'll get it, that this will give it to me, you know, compared to this, you know, 10 minutes of renunciation that wow, is so powerful. Nothing can compare to that, you know, not amount of studying can compare to that. But yesterday, when I kind of threw these papers to the recycle, I said, God, you know, I felt emotional. And why did I spend all this time? And why I don't do it today? And this you know, the ego was so present and so powerful in, oh my God, you know, probably I'm not doing something right. And
That's
all
funny.
this psyche, you know, mental, you know, stuff got so strong, you know, so, oh my God. And I realized, you know, and this morning, just this, you know, sipping from this nectar of renunciation is so fulfilling that nothing can compare to that. Not the amount of studying. And they talk about all the teaching that, you know, you have to renounce, you know, God, you have to renounce everything, really everything, you know, your practice, your guru, your everything you have to renounce. And of course, you. It's most important, yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing, that thing of giving up all traces of yourself. I can understand why you're in the frame of mind you are this morning. You know, it is like a death, isn't it? You
Yeah.
burning or getting rid of all those papers and those traces and moving
It's so
house.
happy. I feel so happy, you know, and I only meditate, you know. I feel so happy. I feel so blessed and full and comfortable. That's why you
That's
ask me,
what I
how are
love.
you doing? I say, I feel amazing, you know, and it's not because I studied 20 years, because I renounced for 10 minutes.
That's what I love about speaking to you, is is your constant evolution, or you're always flowing so easily. Like, you know, that I'm going to find out something about what you're looking at, or what you're with, and it's always moving. It's really so refreshing.
Thank you, Lucy.
Mm,
You know, you
yeah.
are the same, my dear. You are the same, because we cannot resist. you know, we cannot resist this power because it's like a flower that is rising for the light, you know, it must reach the light. It has no choice, you know, and we all, everybody, you know, that's what, you know, so we're finding it's true. Suddenly we need to do a change in our career, or we need to, I don't know, we need to start to do healing or shamanism or Reiki or, you know, or I don't know. And suddenly we feel we have to do it, you know, and we do it. And then it takes us to another place and to another place and to another. But really, and we call it different things, you know, and we go to different teachers. Also, these stems and branches was something in the way that I need to go through, you know, that my soul need to, in a way, to clear and to go and to study and to realize, no, it's not that for me, you know. I'm not saying, but for me, it's not that. So I need to go through that, and it's the journey of the soul to the light, and we all going through that, and that's even our conversation right now is exactly that, you know. It's a soul conversing with itself, really, through it's the creation talking through us and calling us home.
And what comes to me as you're saying that is, you know, the constant of you working with other people through all of this. So the things that you've studied and what you've gone through has always had other people on the other side of it. You've been healing people now for, like you say, I mean, is it over most of your career? When did you start, or how did you get into?
Yeah,
Was
I
it
mean,
acupuncture the first thing you did?
yeah, I mean, I think I have an urge in me always, anything that I know, to give to somebody. I will never keep something for myself, because
Mm.
what's the point? You know, so I have such a deep urge within me to give everything. And as I get older and closer to death, more, even more, I don't want to keep anything to me, you know, because what, you know, only if I can share it, then I'm a tool. I'm at service, you know. So I mean, I grew up in a kibbutz, you know. I work with the cows.
Mm.
I work in the plastic factory, you know. In the kibbutz, you don't have a profession, you know. When I grew up there, you just do what is needed. So one day you work here, one day you work there, and I work with the cows, you know, in the dairy farm of the kibbutz, and that was supposed to be the combat unit, you know, the highest achievement, you know, for the kibbutz, a guy, you know, young guy, was to work with the cows, you know, because it was like the elite unit. Always you want to be in the elite, yeah. So yeah, so I was chosen to work with the cows, you know.
Is it elite? Because it's hard. Because I had a job in a goat farm, and it was so hard actually milking, and I was it was really difficult to do. Were you milking and doing all of that?
Yeah, yeah, completely, but not with the hands, you know. This is a, you know, the next step. It was machine, but it was very hard work, you know, because you have to work very, very strange shift, you know, like 4 in the morning, or finish at 1 a.m. and like really work. So that was difficult. Yeah, that's why, you know. And yeah, and then so that was the kibbutz, and then the army, you know. It's also always this idea to go to the most elite, and to do the most complicated, difficult, dangerous, you know. So again, I think it's the same process of something in us thriving. So first it thrives through the physical form, to get to the best. So I mean, that's why there's Olympics. That's why people compete. That's why when people want to be the richest, the biggest, the famous, the everything. You know, it's the same call of something deep inside to shine, to be the best. So when we are in the physical identity, we want to be in the physical identity or mental identity the best. You know, and when we suddenly move through that, that's why I think it's the ego has its importance to evolve and to manifest. You know, the ego needs to manifest somehow, first as the ego, you know, so we don't feel frustrated from our ego existence. And then we grow beyond the ego, we can drop, you know, like there's a person I've been working with, and he was very super successful working in the city of London, you know, and made, you know, lots of money in a very important equity fund. I don't know how they call it, you know. but he told me that one day he just started crying. He said, what am I doing? Okay, so I achieve, what everybody is dreaming of. I have everything I want, but I don't feel fulfilled. He start crying, say, what is that? And that's it. That's really it. That's what pushes us to the light. It's that thing that, yeah, only this 10 minutes of meditation of light. That's it. Nothing can compare to that. Nothing. You can. That's why so many stories about all these celebrities that they go into drugs, and you see all these movies now about celebrities that they end up with drugs, with killing themselves because it doesn't shift. The Beatles, they did this shift. They managed to move, to move to something higher, and to connect to the spirit. Because it's not satisfied. Okay, so you have all these fans following you and all this money and all this, glory. But if it's not transformed into the spirit, then you're stuck and then you kill yourself, because you're overwhelmed. So that's a natural evolution. So I'm happy I I didn't become famous, because then I will be lost in the ego, So, and that's also they really warning us, in the teaching of the yoga, and not to get into the ego trip, because also when people get into spiritual spiritual practices, they start to gain a lot of power, and there is many stories, and also we know people that they can do amazing things. They can be under the ground, they can be under the water, they can manifest castles in the air. If you read Anatomy of the Yogi by Yogananda, he talks about it many. So also in the spiritual realm, people get lost by the ego, so it's very dangerous, and we really need to pay attention for that.
And how did that shift happen for you? Or, you're talking about working with your books, that kind of, it's a socialist sort of principle, isn't it, of sharing and working together. But you're saying within that you were motivated by being the best. And what clicked for you or shifted, or how did you start your spiritual journey?
Actually, it's interesting because it was the same mechanism. But then what happened that I was traveling in India, and I was guided, in a way, really guided to the ashram of Ramana Maharishi in Trivanamalai. And then I was I got there, but I didn't know what I'm doing there. I felt so strange there. There was nothing special for me there. But the guy there told me that there is a Vipassana meditation retreat next week. I said, okay, I'm going. Why? Because it's 14 hours of sitting. I said, I never meditate in my life, but if it's difficult, I go. So it was the mechanism, like elite. If it's
North face of the Eiger, yeah.
So I go. So I went, and then it basically blew my mind completely. That meditation blew my mind, because I realized that's the first time I realized that there is more to life than what I see. So from there, that's really changed the direction of my life completely. And since then, which was 85, I think, I'm dedicating all my life only to spiritual work, and healing. Basically, that's what I do. Yeah. So and what the Infinite Being Academy, it's really about bringing together spirituality and healing, coming from the point that you are infinite being, and how that can serve in healing, which is serving in an amazing way. Yeah. So there in that, through the guidance and the grace and the blessing of Ramana Maharishi, he guided me there to that. He understood that I need a big blow to my ego brain, and he actually guided through the ego, to realize the truth. And since then, I feel that Ramana Maharishi is actually constantly guiding me in my journey constantly. You know, I feel all the time is my guru. You know.
And did you stay? Did you leave your country then? And how did you get to Spain?
Um, again, it's always the same. It's the grace, you know.
Mm.
It's always the play with the ego, you know, because when I came to Israel after studying Chinese medicine, I thought I'm a big shot, you know, because
Uh-huh.
you know not many people in Israel study what I study in California in Santa Cruz. So I was one of the first one who brought like new information to Israel, although it was there, but not to the same extent. So people who study in the same time like me in other countries and brought this information, it was easy to enter and to become important in that field. So I tried to enter, and I saw that I'm really very successful in that, and the students liked what I did. But one time I was supposed to continue teaching for the next year, and the guy that was in charge, he told me, "No, you're not continuing. Why? Because you're not following what we ask you to teach. You teach what you want, you know. So you cannot continue here." I was shocked, you know. It was a big blow to my ego, you know. But thanks to that, and other thing that in the family happened, that we decided to move to Spain. And
Mm.
there is like a new world opened to me, and I got in touch with Midi from Detox International, and that really helped develop what I'm doing today. You know, the energy reading. So through that, I start to develop or to marry uh, healing and spirituality. You know, then when I understood that the mind and the emotion are completely relating to the way the energy flow.
Mm.
So I start to develop in a way the energy reading and energy coaching, what I'm teaching today in the Infinite Being Academy, and and it connects so powerfully to spirituality, because as I do it more and more, I see clear, more and more clear, how powerful is the nothing in relationship to the something. Yeah. So when you keep your mind so clean and clear, you can see with such a clarity how a thought can block energy, how a thought and emotion can block chakra, and not only that, how the emotion and the thoughts create reality. You know, and you see so
Mm.
clearly by working with myself and working with others how much suffering we inflicted on ourselves just by not understanding that we are the creator of our reality. Yeah,
Mm.
maybe I don't know if 100%, but close to that. So there's other percentage of other creators, yeah, that all mix together and creates reality, but we are the protagonist. I mean, we called the mind.
Mm.
So the work that I do more and more is try to bring people to that recognition that there are channels of light, you know, and they are infinite being, and through their being, the energy, you know, can manifest, and depend how they keep their, you know, the system aligned with the creator and the creation. That's the way the energy flows through them for physical health, for emotional health, and for the manifestation of their life. So really, I feel that my work, my professional work, is really to support people, again, to become pure channels and radiate being, infinite
Mm.
being, to realize and to see the connection between how their mind operates and how their life manifests.
When I hear you saying that, I have this question um, about how much of that insight comes from your own practice, and how much it comes in relationship to the people that you're working with. Are there like aha moments that led you to the particularly to the the feelings that you have about energy and also about the nature of being and that concept of being infinite? Are
This
there
comes,
moments?
yeah, this
Mm.
comes mainly from working with people.
Mm.
I mean, for me, it's super clear, you know, it's super clear that when my mind is quiet and I feel completely aligned, then I feel very happy. It's super clear, you know. And not only that, I feel energized, I feel alive, I feel good. It's super clear. And then when I look at people's energy and I see the way their energy flowing, it's not their energy, it's the way the life force of creation flows through them.
Mm.
So I see with such a clarity that the amount of light that can flow through them uh, is completely relates to the state of their mind. Completely, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if their mind and the state of ego identity, as much as a person is more identified with themselves as a separate ego identity, uh, their much is their blockage. You know? Now, here comes other aspect, you know, of constitution, of you know, of lifestyle, of many things that affect. Somebody constitution might be so strong that even if they're so abusive to themselves, in the way they think, in the way they behave, in what they eat, and how they still the life force will somehow will go through them and they won't get ill. Somebody can be super spiritual and super connected, but because of karma or because genetics or I'm not sure why, they can get ill, you know, but still they can generate or allow the life force to flow very, very well. So there's not always one-to-one relationship, but for sure, you know, we have the ability to create a very, very good space and environment to facilitate the best life experience possible. Yeah, because you can even be in prison, you know, and eat rubbish food and be in a horrible, you know, life situation. But if you connect to the source, you can be enlightened. You know, you can feel unbelievable well, and you can have everything that you have. You know, all the story about the Buddha is the classic story of a prince, you know, feeling frustrated because okay, I have everything, but it's not it, you know. So this mechanism is working in all of us, in all of us, and yeah, and I see it so clear, so clear the importance of how people perceive, identify themselves to be. That's why I mean I'm so happy that we call the academy Infinite Being Academy because it's about infinity. You know, if the mind doesn't recognize its infinite nature, it will always suffer. Always, we always suffer. Always, you know,
Mm.
and they don't teach it in schools. Nobody tells you you're an infinite being. Nobody. Imagine,
And that's,
yeah.
yeah, imagine if you did. And that's your, um, was there a moment, can you remember in your practice where you really started to shift towards that with other people? This, you know, to realize the interaction that you were having, or did it develop quite gradually?
I think it developed gradually because as I think it's all reflected my state of being is everything
Mm.
because I cannot see what I'm not. Yeah, I cannot see what I'm not. So if I so even in my let's say healing practices, so in the beginning I used to put needles, only needle and kind of calculate from knowledge. That's why I needed so much knowledge to do some calculation. What is the indication of certain points? What is the indication of certain herbs? And to see how can I help this person? You know, so it was ego treating another ego using physical means. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
But as I evolve more to realize that I'm ego being, but I'm also infinite being. Yeah. So the spectrum of practice, I still use needles for acupuncture, but the spectrum is much, much, much bigger because I can choose if this person needs more, let's say, only energy work, or they need more physical interaction. Maybe it will not be with me. Maybe they need to go to osteopath or to go to a medical doctor for medication, or it can be different things. But where they need their intervention, in which on the spectrum, because we are a spectrum of existence. So if you treat somebody only as a physical form and not as a spiritual form or being, it's lacking. That's why medicine is very lacking, because you cannot treat human being only as a machine. This is the blood test, this is the medication, here you go, come in a month, tell me how you're doing. But
Yeah.
how you feeling? How is your spirit? Are you realize you're an infinite being? I mean, this is so ignorant, so ignorant, so ignorant. It's like, what's happening here? But I understand. That's where humanity is. That's why there are wars. I mean, that's why people, kill each other. I mean, I understand, but it's ignorant. I mean, for me, when I look at it, I say, oh my God, what's happening here? But that's what's happening here. So like I'm evolving, like you are evolving, the whole humanity evolves. And unfortunately, it goes through suffering for humans, for animals, for the planet, for the minerals, everything is suffering because we are stupid. you know, for me, it looks stupidity, when we have these beautiful, beautiful, possibilities and we choose to kill each other. Can you say it's wisdom?
Mm.
But I should respect it, because it's evolution. But it's very sad, it's very sad to see how people kill themselves, not only talking about killing each other, but killing themselves by thinking they're stupid, they're not good enough, they're not good looking, they didn't make enough money, they're not worthy. Why, all this is not necessary, of course. But that's
Mm.
evolution. That's evolution. I hope our conversation will help people wake up.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure it
So
will.
so in your as you I think you asked me this question once, and it's a good one. Like, in your career, treating and working with people, what do you know to be true in terms of the things that most support people to wake up and support their healing?
Okay. Um, See, I think because the problem is the mind. The mind is the creator of reality, or the expression of the infinite mind, becoming, because we also living in a reality that being created. Yeah. So and we are part of that creation. So the power of creation that created us has the same power in our mind to manifest that creation. Yeah. So the creator is creating through us. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. So when our mind is not quiet, and it's kind of fuzzy and going all over the place, it start to create fuzziness and weirdness and illnesses and problems.
Mm.
Very much so. So basically, we need to align our mind. Align our mind. So there's infinity, or the life force. There's the mind. There's the heart, and there's life flowing. And we must do this alignment. Now, because the problem is the mind, so I think the mind needs a lot of attention, a lot of attention. Now, the main problem is that we identify with the mind as me. I am the mind. We don't say it, but when I say you, Lucy, actually I'm referring to a mind. When I say I refer to a mind, to ego-bound identity. That's really what's happening. Yeah.
Mm.
So, and that is the core of the imbalance. That we are not. Most of humanity didn't do separation. Say, I am the space. There is a mind operating within that space, which is me, and I have a choice what to do with this mind, if to listen to what it says, if to tell it what to do, if to ignore it. But I am the space, and this is the mind. but it's not like this. We become the mind, you know, so we identify with the mind. So I'm thinking, I'm feeling, yeah, I want, I like, oh, I feel like ice cream, oh, I feel like that, oh, I'm not good enough, oh, nobody like. It's all the mind talking to itself basically, but because it's so connected to the physical form, it creates chemical reactions, hormonal reactions, neurological, you know, pathways being created. So it's become like the mind body become like one thing, you know. And then we're talking about addiction processes, you know, because the minute the body is knowing that every time when you wake up, for example, you need to think a certain thought, or when you after you eat you need to smoke, or you know, this is the way to do things, etc. You're going into a neurological chemical, you know, arrangement of the system that in a way is already afflicting on the mind to function in a certain way. And then so you're talking already like a mechanism, a complete mechanism that is needs to be looked at and needs to be worked with to start to you know, like something turning like this so fast, and then you start vroom, 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 you know. And this is a that's why you cannot only look at meditation, or you have to look at globally at the personality and everything, what they eat, how they move, you know, what they think, who they, you know, they communicate with, and everything for that shift to start to take place. But because the mind is in the center, we have to look at the mind and how can we, in a way, affect the mind strong. And from my work, I look at a few things that looks very, very important. One thing is, for example, start to change behaviors. So, for example, now I'm moving my left hand. Let's say this is a behavior. So I start to say, no, if you want to move, you move your right hand. For example, now I sit, so I put my left leg on my right leg or foot. So I say, no, just change now. Okay, so start to, you're also changing now, no?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. So changing behavior and starting and like this, you start to break chemical neurological pathways that the system constantly. You see, I'm moving like this. Why not like that? You know, it's all pathways. You know, if I say, okay, let's write now with the right hand. Say no, you write now with the left hand. I almost get nauseated. You know, because all the systems say, wow, no, you know, because it doesn't like it, you know. It's not in accord with the system. Yeah. But if you start to write with your left hand, I mean, people do amazing thing with the feet, you know. They can do everything, you know, with the feet, with the toes. You can, if you don't have arms, you develop other abilities. So it's not very important if I write with the right or the left, but it's very important if I don't control my mind. It's super important. So if my mind constantly thinking that I'm stupid, that's very important. If my mind doesn't realize that it's a mind, but it's not me, that's super important. That's crucial. Yeah. But we have to start somewhere. So a place to start is breaking mundane habits. Everything, you know, if you come with the right, come with the left. If you dress up like this, dress up like that. If you brush up like this, brush up like that, you know, change habits. Then we start to look at things. So then if I think like this, why would I think like this? Let's think like that, you know. So this is number one. And this is a take commitment, but it's not difficult to do. But it's already will change a lot. Number two is humbleness, because our mind is so arrogant. My God, it's so arrogant, and that's part of my experience this morning. It's arrogance, you know, that even when I meditate, supposedly super enlightened, still the mind is actually controlling, is actually wanting to control and to say, ah, beautiful, now you're, to say something. This is arrogance. This is not complete renunciation. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm interested in that bit. So there's when I was asking earlier about how you recognize it, is there an I speak that's happening, or is that inner voice something that you would
Yeah,
identify as how you
sure.
know that you're still there?
For sure.
Being
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very, I mean, the mind is so cunning, there's so many kind of subtle ways that it's kind of do its things just to stay in the picture, to be somebody
Mm, mm,
and take a big pride of any achievement. I did it. I'm enlightened. All those things. It's so stupid. It's so not necessary. Yeah. And it's so blocking. So yeah, so when you are humble, again, there is level of humbleness, but the deepest humbleness is when you disappear.
mm,
A drop of rain, can be as humble as it is, but it must lose its form when it's entered to the ocean. Must. So this is the humbleness is only to guide the mind, to kind of trick the mind, to start to realize, God, I'm not the center of the universe, I'm just tiny dot in the infinite existence. So I'm bowing in front of it. So that's very beautiful. The Muslim, they are prostrating, in so many religion, there's a lot of prostration, and that's wonderful because
mm,
we have to prostrate in front of something bigger. It's very helpful for the mind, but it's not the ultimate, because if I prostrate in front of somebody, I have to disappear in that somebody. I don't prostrate in front. Yes, but this is okay. It's step number one. Yeah. So yeah. So first is humbleness as much as possible. The second one is gratitude. They are
mm,
very similar. Very similar because humbleness bring gratitude, and gratitude bring humbleness. But we can look at them different and focus on each one, and because they'll help us. When I say they help us, they'll help the mind realize the truth. When you say when you're grateful for anything, you become humble, you lowering yourself. Thank you so much. Thank you.
mm,
It's not obvious that, I mean, what here we are very affluent, we're sitting in a place that is comfortable, we're breathing air, we're talking beautiful words. I mean, this is unbelievable. We're using amazing technology, all these cameras and all this Zoom and I mean, this is amazing. And this can go in a second to the whole world. What is that? This is so amazing.
mm,
So this is a great grace and gratefulness and like wow. Yeah. So, but this is all ways to help the mind connect to the heart. So the mind start to to realize that it's not so important. Yeah. And actually, it's not that only it's not so important. When it touches the heart, many things that it's looking outside, it's already have inside. It has love inside. It has peace inside. It has all these that the external world tells us that if we get this, get this, get that, then we'll have what we have. So when you apply gratitude and humbleness, it's not good for the economy, by the way. People will buy less. People will move less, because they are satisfied. I'm okay. I'm really okay. I don't need much.
mm,
I know it will not make me happy if I meditate and I feel so amazingly good. Why do I go anywhere? I'm good. I'm good. I can die. Even I can die is okay. It's no problem. Yeah. So yeah. So that these two tools are super powerful. And
mm,
so if you are following a religion, there's a great advantage to that. Yeah, and maybe disadvantage. But the advantage is that they guide you in the religion how to practice humbleness and gratitude.
mm.
So this is very good.
Yes,
But
great reminder about gratitude that it does do that. It puts you in touch with what your heart already has access to, or puts your mind, what do you say sometimes? The mind
Yeah.
is the secretary and the heart is the boss, or something. Like tuck your
Yeah,
mind
I
into
look at
your
it
heart like a swan tucks its
exactly.
head
Yeah,
under its
this image,
wing.
yeah, like a swan.
Mm,
Yeah, and this feels so nice,
mm,
so nice. But, it's exactly like a swan, because when the swan is so beautiful, So when its head is up, it's in its beauty and glory, you know. Yeah, it's exactly when the ego is out and say, I'm so special, But then when it sleeps, the swan, it's put his head into the heart, and then maybe it's not so beautiful. Yeah, maybe, but it's peaceful. It's the same. You see, kind of a metaphor, that we can be very comfortable in the heart. Yeah, but the heart, we shouldn't be confused. The heart is only a portal, So when you bring
mm,
your mind to your heart, then you open up. Yeah. So it's because when the mind it's a trap in a way for the mind. Yeah. It's going to like it, but it's a trap. The heart is a trap, because when the mind is trapped by the heart, it feels so good that it doesn't want anything else anymore. Yeah. Yeah. Again,
mm,
not good for economy. Not good. When people are happy and content, it's not good for the economy.
mm, mm.
I hope they will not ban this video.
Yeah,
Because we're telling people that you
sedition.
don't need to buy.
No, no, that's very clear, isn't it? One of the drivers to consuming.
Can I ask you something, Lucy?
Yeah.
Okay. Because you've been practicing a lot with yourself, you did a lot of self work, um, and you've been working with energy reading. So how is that for you? How are you in that process of coming from somebody to, in a way, nobody, or this kind of moving from the physical into the energy? How is it for you?
I think I'm at a stage where, like you described, coming into contact with different practices and trying different things, like more perhaps intensively over the last 6 or 7 years, and recognizing that some of those things are more helpful than others, but some of them, I started, for example, working with family constellations, and I think of it as like breaking down the big rocks of your ego, starting to understand that you've really identified with your own persona or your ego, and that it's actually has a way that it works, and you start to see. I see it a little bit like the Wizard of Oz, the end of that film, where there's this great big fairy story going on, and they go and like uncover the little man in the box who's operating everything. And it feels like slowly going through these things and finding things that help you understand more, refining, I suppose, the ways in which your mind is still working. And so the states that you describe about surrendering, I've just touched some of that in meditation. But I'm with, I suppose, I'm finding a lot of help in Buddhist teachings around the real subtlety of the way that your mind pulls you in to things, and just starting to, it's a little bit like you're talking about habits, just starting to interrupt that, the undertow or the automatic identification with things. That's where I'm most interested at the moment, or it makes most sense to me. It's
Yeah.
sort of um
I just want
and
to add for that, that it's very beautiful what you say, um, because there are different practices for each personality. you know, that to guide for the light and to unite with the divine, you know. So many people needs the practice of, let's say, more the mind. Many people needs more the practice of devotion, you know, bhakti yoga, you know, it's like the practice of the heart, of love. Other people need more the practice like Mother Teresa, you know, of serving, you know, selfless serving, you know, or working for the greatest God, you know, for God, you know, and just giving and giving and giving. So there's different practices, you know. So I don't think there's one practice for everybody. So that's
No, I mean,
what you say.
what I'm struggling with, I suppose, is consistency.
What do you
You
mean?
know, well, that thing of uh, you know, the battle between being kind to yourself and going easy on yourself, and actually bringing in some discipline, you know, of like going to bed at 10 o'clock, waking up at 6 o'clock, doing yoga, sitting. You know, I'm not meditating at the moment
Yeah,
enough, or, you
yeah.
know,
I think there should be a, I mean, the path of love should be here for sure, you know, because we are not supposed to hit ourselves on the head. You know, that's another story of the ego. On the other hand, we have to be very aware to our state of being, you know. So I know normally when I wake up in the morning, I don't feel great, you know. I feel from some reason, if we say vata, you know, is the energy just flies up to the head and kind of make me a sense of but dizzy, and the mind is working very fast. So I need to meditate, you know. It's kind of brings the whole system to a place that is unbelievable. Yeah. So it's self-preservation in a way, or I need to move my body to do yoga or to swim or to walk or to do something that is, then I feel good. So maybe for you, I mean, we all have this ideal about meditation, but maybe for you, it's a walk in the wood, you know, or hugging a tree, or singing, or painting, or I mean, there's so many ways. So we should have discipline, I think, but the discipline should be not according to ideas, but more according to what works best for me, and to be honest and to recognize, actually, I'm not supporting myself. You know, if you let yourself, you know, feel bad and you don't take care of yourself in any level, so then this is not healthy. Yeah.
yeah, I feel it's important what you're saying. Important insight for me came through some work around trauma, which was this thing of how you feel when you wake up. And it's really interesting because that was something that really I'd kind of had a blind spot or had missed, that you imagine that you sleep and you wake up and somehow that's your natural state. And I was reading something about how in abandonment trauma you can wake up with a bit of a flashback to feeling abandoned during sleep or because of your dreams. And it just got me thinking, just have a bit more awareness about how I am waking up, and that too is a state. I don't know why, but you sort of imagine that as you wake, you're starting your day, and somehow you're closer to you're closer to yourself. Um, but yeah, so it's interesting hearing you say that moment of awareness as you wake up, and that you decide to work with that, or that you realize that it's something that needs moving or would be supported by like a walk outside. It seems really obvious, but it's something that's come to my awareness maybe over the last year.
Beautiful.
Okay. How is it in the morning? Yeah. So you were what, are there things that you're struggling with, or do you
The struggle
like
with,
I kind of look to you as somebody who's feeling really enlightened, but you've spoken about surrender or about really letting go?
yeah, I think I struggle that I want that I desire maybe too much, enlightenment. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I have to renounce the one who desired. Yeah. So this is a yeah. I think that's maybe where I'm at. Yeah, I
Like
mean,
giving
the
up.
normal thing that I feel I'm struggling with is desires in general, not only enlightenment. So especially because I pay a lot of attention how my system operates. So I see that if a thought comes that creates an addiction reaction, it doesn't matter what, it can be for bread or for an apple or for anything that I don't feel really I need it right now. I don't feel my system really needs it, but I see the mechanism that the mind is get hooked on something, and then difficult for me to let go. And most of the time, I need to complete it. Yeah, I need to do it. Yeah, this is classic addiction. I think when
Mm,
I must
mm,
have that bread, I must have that cake, I must have that cigarette, I must have that, So this I must have is actually that the body mind chemistry, all the whole system is already gearing towards completion of something that is normally not healthy. So I feel that I'm under the effect of desires. Yeah, I mean I don't have any big desires, like nothing harmful. But yeah, I don't think it's necessary. And so I see very clearly how my mind is very affected by desires. Like I see that the mind all the time wants something to feel good. I believe not only mine, I guess everybody's mind. It's like a radar of goodness. Once it hooks on something that can give it a nice feeling, it homes on it, and like a pit ball, you say, this,
mm.
it latches into it and will not let go until it consumes it. And then it let go. And then it looks for the next one. Chuck, give me that. This is slavery. Yeah, completely slavery. But that's how the world operates, That's how the mind operates. So I see it so clear, so clear.
Mm.
And yeah, you can see it. I see it where I take shower, especially when in the winter, you enter to the water, and then it's exactly the right temperature, but then suddenly they might say, no, I need a bit hotter. No, this is too much. Need a bit colder. No,
Mhm.
come on, give me a break. Never satisfied. So I definitely see that the mind operates like this. Is yours the same?
Well, yeah, I feel like what connects the two things that we're talking about is that awareness of energy. And I just want to come back and yeah, say how important it was, what an important shift actually in all of the work that I was doing was the energy course.
Hmm.
And I was kind of reluctant at first. I was like, felt really busy, and you said, "Oh, just give it a go." And it's so fundamental to start to be, what that did for me was open up both the field in terms of the work around constellations and therapy, that there's a reliable field of energy. And I used to think of it in a really ego identified way, like, can I channel something? When it's no, it's just always there. So that wonderful feeling of, yeah, trust, but also what you're talking about in terms of tracking what happens in your own system, how the energy's moving. And that was what comes to me as you talk about that. But yeah, definitely desires. That's a whole nother podcast.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just aware of the time now. So I
Yeah.
think, I could talk to you literally forever, but we should draw
Well,
it to a close.
but there's
Um,
a yoga class coming up in 15 minutes. So,
yeah, yeah. And I'm going to go and pull plastic out of the River Taff in Cardiff.
oh,
Yeah.
that's beautiful.
So it's so lovely to see you. It's
Thank
just
you,
such a
Lucy.
blessing. Really lovely to speak to you. What a great way to start the day. And
Yeah.
I hope you have a lovely day.
Thank you,
And I'll
my
see
dear.
you really soon.
Much love to you and
Yeah,
blessing to everybody.
yeah. Thank you. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah. Bye.
Bye bye.
Ciao.
Yeah.